I'd like to call to order the regular meeting on April 13th. Please join Councilmember Laura Tano in the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, as we just come out of the Easter holiday and Passover, all your children of all faiths need your help and your guidance. Not just our country, not just our state, but the whole world looks for you, Holy Father, to help us in this time of need. We ask that you give your love and embrace those that have passed on from the virus. We ask that you protect our healthcare workers all over the world. We ask that you protect our first responders who are facing an enemy they cannot see. We ask you to protect our children, our businesses, all across the world. At this time, Lord, all your children of all faiths need your help and your guidance. We need you to help us give the scientists the skills and protect them so that they can help your children. Dear Lord, at this time we are not Christians, we are not Muslims, we are not Jews, we are not Buddhists. We are all your children, and we need your protection and your guidance so we can see this shining light and live with you. Amen.
Councilman Laura Tano, thank you for that very meaningful prayer, and I think we're all feeling the same way. So we're all present this evening. So we have one communication item. The first item is an update on the COVID-19 the pandemic. I know I said that wrong, but we don't call that any that way. We call it the other way. So, yeah, COVID-19. Yes. Okay. Now's the time. Are we doing this, citizens, at all on the phone or anything like that?
So, Mayor, I think that the clerk would like to read a statement about citizen
that's
participation.
When she wanted me.
Yes.
All right, I'm turning it over to Darcy, our clerk. Darcy?
Mayor and Council, I just wanted to give you the information. We actually put it on the agenda of the different ways that the public could participate in this meeting. Because the doors are locked due to COVID-19 and Governor Ducey's order, then we actually have it to where members of the public can actually email in. We set up a specific email address for people to email to public comment, and that's with an S, at goodyearaz.gov. And we've got some additional information about how many words approximately and that kind of information. Also, if the public is interested in watching the meeting, there's 3 different opportunities for them to do so. They can watch it on Facebook. And that would be facebook.com/goodyearaz.gov. And you don't need an account in order to do that. Also, they can watch it using the Granicus site just off of our goodyearaz.gov website. And also, we do also stream our meetings on YouTube, and those 3 things are still occurring. Also, we did include right on the agenda that at any point they can contact the mayor and council by sending an email to the gycouncil@goodyearaz.gov. So we did open up some additional opportunities for people to participate, but due to the door, the doors being closed and stuff like that.
So that was our call to the citizens. So I hope they'll take advantage of that. I'm sure they will. So let's go on with the city clerk. Please read the consent agenda items 2 through 9 by title only, please.
Actually, Mayor, we've got the communication item first.
Please. You can see where I am this evening. Yes, go ahead.
Where's the presentation button?
Make your presentation.
Right there? Oh my gosh, it's really hard to see from here.
I can't go through a good meeting. You know that.
All right. Well, thank you, Mayor and Council. I did want to take the opportunity during the communication section to provide a COVID-19 update. The city has been very responsive to the rapidly changing conditions, and I just wanted to share some of the actions that we have already pursued. There we go. This is just a brief timeline, and really the intent of showing this is how quickly this crisis did escalate. Starting on March 11th is when our governor declared a statewide emergency, followed by President Trump declaring a national emergency on March 13th. And then, of course, Mayor Lord announced a local declaration for the city of Goodyear on March 19th. Schools were closed through the end of the year on March 30th. And then, of course, on March 31st is when the governor put into his place the executive order, stay home, stay healthy, and stay connected. As a result of that, on April 1st is when all of the city offices were closed to the public. However, I wanted to highlight that we do continue to offer services to our community. A lot of what we do here at the city is obviously an essential service. We have everything from water and wastewater, our public safety departments, but also our sanitation department, for example. Under the governor's order, construction is considered an essential service, which means that all of our building department and engineering and inspections teams are required to keep working. So truly, what the city's needed to do is pivot and utilize items such as technology to help all of our residents and our community continue to stay open. A couple of things I wanted to highlight. Of course, as I mentioned, the city has closed its offices to the public, but we remain open for business, and that can be done online. So, for example, paying utility billing, reporting a problem, online police reporting, and even including Goodyear Library e-media and permits by mail. But for our residents and our customers who need to come into City Hall, they're able to do so by making an appointment, and our team is here and ready and able to help them. With regards to parks and recreation, city parks remain open during the regular hours of 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. However, our rec programs and park amenities are closed. We also had to cancel a number of our large city signature events. On the good side of life, the Recreation Division and also our Arts and Culture Division have gotten very creative in putting on some fun and engaging activities online. When it comes to the organization, we have adapted quickly through the use of technology, and many of our employees have transitioned to working from home. But we have a lot who are working in the field, and we are taking the CDC guidelines very seriously as far as decontaminating and making sure that we have social distancing in place for all of our team members. When it comes to tools, like everyone else, we are struggling and having difficulty acquiring the personal protective equipment, but our teams, including police and fire, are doing a good job of managing and working with all of our partners to try to secure additional equipment. I think everyone's concerned about the economic impacts of the crisis, and all indications are that we'll experience a deep economic recession, and the length of it will simply depend on how long the pandemic goes on. But we do believe Goodyear is poised to come out of the recession quickly, but our planning is going to look at a slower, more moderate recovery. Of course, City Council has adopted financial policies and conservative revenue projections that have positioned us well to absorb the economic shock and adapt to the dynamic environment. We are in a strong financial position. And in fact, even after lowering our revenue projections for the current fiscal year, based on our strong year-to-date performance, we are still anticipating exceeding our original budget for 2020. Moving forward into 2021, our strategy is to maintain existing services. And when we look again at the current fiscal year, we've put into place some measures, again, to be very conservative, to position us for fiscal year 21, such as having essential expenses only with city manager approval for purchases above $2,500, and also my approval for any new hires. Yesterday, the state released a map that has, for the first time, given us an opportunity to look at locations of the virus positive test results. So in Arizona, we have, as of today, 3,702 cases with 122 deaths. And by zip code, when you can zoom into this map, I just wanted to show the information that's available. We have 2 zip codes in Goodyear that are essentially all of Goodyear, and that is 85395. And they have right now 15 positive cases. and zip code 85338 has 20 positive cases. Of course, just as we saw in our earlier presentation, we do have Goodyear residents that are in a Litchfield Park zip code, which is north of Camelback. That entire zip code has 11 cases, but we're unable to differentiate which ones of those might be in Goodyear. So if we stick with just those first 2 zip codes that we know are all of Goodyear, we have 35 cases total as of today. In looking and analyzing that information, that is 1.7% of the total Maricopa County cases. So Maricopa County has 2,020 cases right now. So Goodyear's total of that is 1.7%, which makes sense because we're about 2% of the overall Maricopa County population. So one of my first impressions when I looked at this map is I was maybe expecting to see pockets where there was and wasn't activity like you see more generally throughout the state. But in Maricopa, in general, you'll see all of those red shaded, which shows greater than 10 in most zip codes. I did want to make a note on this data that the governor's office has been highlighting, and that is if patients have a residence that was unknown with the reporting, they're using the location of the treating facility. So you see some abnormalities in area where the Mayo Clinic is located, for example, or there's a hospital in Tucson whose zip code shows probably some abnormal numbers. And so it's not perfect. They're really asking us and warning us not to make decisions on our personal activities based off of this map. It's truly meant to just show, where it is, because I think there's been a lot of curiosity about that. But the CDC guidelines and the governor's executive order, they're asking everyone to continue to comply with, despite what area of the state someone may live in, and based on this map. Just wanted to highlight that the team has put together some great resources for our businesses and residents. At the general website, goodyearaz.gov/coronavirus is our general page. We have a special page just dedicated for our local restaurants, goodyearaz.gov/where-to-eat. And then also a small business resource page that includes information on the CARES Act and initiatives. And our economic development team remains available to, I encourage any of our businesses reach out. They've done a lot of research, spent a lot of time learning about all these different small business administration programs, and they're eager and available to help. And then I just included a couple of the more general resources for the Arizona Department of Health Services and, of course, the Centers for Disease Control. I wanted to give a special thank you to our first responders and all of the employees that are on the front lines working countless hours to manage the crisis and to help mitigate the impacts to our community. I'd like to recognize my leadership team and all of our employees for coming together to do what's needed to get the job done and take care of the community. I'm proud of how they've stepped up to look to innovative solutions to overcome these unprecedented obstacles to provide quality service to our customers. However, this is just what we do in Goodyear. I also wanted to thank Mayor and Council for your leadership and continued support of the team to do what's right for the citizens of Goodyear. Our community is strong and will be even stronger after this. Together, we are resilient.
Thank you. Any comments after what the city manager said? Do you have anything that anybody wants to add to that at all? It's just because it's been a very difficult time for everybody. And so lots of conversation out there in public. But yes. Laura?
I just wanted to say thank you for the way you put out information on a regular basis. It's been so helpful just to keep us abreast. There's so much information flying around, and it's just been your steady hand of leadership, just being consistent, putting information out. It's just been very meaningful. I love the creativity, like you mentioned, that we're seeing, different ways people are communicating, and even getting the arts and culture out. The Westmark has a weekly West Valley Gems, and it was featured. Guyleen's virtual art tour was featured as a gem, and so that's very exciting to see that kind of innovation being acknowledged. But I love this. Together we are resilient. It's a great team, great leadership. Appreciate everything you've been doing.
Any other comments? Sherry?
I just want to thank you too and your whole team for everything you've done, and just the whole staff. I mean, this came literally out of the blue. This wasn't planned for, and you all have done actually such a wonderful job keeping the city steady and everything. I'm hoping we're getting to the other end, but we don't know exactly how bad it's all going to be when it all shakes out. So I think with your leadership and your team's leadership, we're going to pop out well the other side. And that's really because of the people that, are here at the city. So thank you all.
Yes, Wally?
So, Julie, can you tell us where we look to put in our zip code to check the cases? When I went on this morning, I didn't get the figures you're giving me. So maybe you've got a different website than what I've been.
Yep, let me go
Going
back
to every
it so you
day.
can see it. So at the bottom of the slide, the source is azdhs.gov.
Yeah, and it says find your zip.
Yes. And so when you use if you zoom in and then you can use your mouse, it hovers over the zip code and it will tell you how many cases.
Okay. And my next comment is I do want to have a debrief for council when this is over so we can know what worked, what didn't work, how we are going to plan so we're not caught like this next year if this is back, especially in the technology field and the telephone field. And we need to know so that we can budget it if necessary or even change the way we do business.
We do have a list of all the governor's meetings and all the, we have copies of how, right? She has a lot in it.
Yeah, so I think, Mayor, to your point, and to your point, the debrief process for this will be very important because
Yes.
this is unlike any other crisis that we've managed. Although after every crisis, we should do a debrief. There's always lessons learned, and we won't know probably for another. I'll be optimistic 6 weeks until the financial picture, what the health picture looks like, and so it's going to be important to take a step back. Congratulate ourselves for the things we did well and look for those lessons learned so that if this does become a repeat, even in the fall or next spring, that we're as prepared as possible. So thank you for the comments.
Well, it's so unusual. We have not started with our EOC, and for years, that's all we talked about is to make sure the EOC was up and running and had all the stuff it needed so that the very instant anything happened at Palo Verde or anywhere else in the city, they would be there. And this, we haven't done it because it's a different type.
Yeah,
And,
this was a difficult one.
It is, and we don't really have a book to go by, and we have some rules to go by, but we don't really have rules to go by, and it's really kind of, we're flying by the seat of our pants, but y'all have done a wonderful job. The whole country is that. It's not just us, because we don't know what to do or how to do or where it is or why it is or when are we going to get out of this, and hopefully we'll be able to start lifting some of the down stuff soon so that folks can get back and try to get their lives together somehow.
It's hard to tell people how to run their lives.
I know.
So,
I know.
all right. We go on to the city clerk. Will you please read the consent agenda? Is that where we're at?
Actually,
Or am I missing it again?
just the public comment, just so you know, we have not received any emails through the public comment
Okay,
site.
thank you.
But yes, then consent.
All right.
Number 2, approval of minutes. Number 3, authorize an extension to the intergovernmental agreement with the state of Arizona for wastewater treatment service to Perryville Prison. Number 4, conditionally approve the final plat of Sadea Parcel 2A subject to stipulations. Number 5, conditionally approve the final plat of Sadea Parcel 2B subject to stipulations. Number 6, recommend approval of a new Series 10 beer and wine store liquor license for True by Hilton Goodyear. Number 7, recommend approval of a new Series 11 Hotel Motel liquor license for Spring Hill Suites by Marriott Goodyear. Number 8, accept the dedication of 2 water meter and line easements from Estrella Parkway LLC, an Arizona limited liability company, and approve a release and termination of easement for an existing water meter and line easement. Number 9, adopt resolution number 2020-2049, designating Finance Director Doug Sandstrom as the city's applicant agent for purposes of signing all necessary documents and conducting business to engage the city to apply and receive emergency assistance from the state of Arizona and/or the federal government.
Thank you. Does anyone on the council wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? All right. Can I have a motion and a second to approve items 2 through 9? Do I hear that motion?
So, second.
I didn't hear who said the first. Okay, motion by Councilman Campbell and a second by Councilman Pizzillo. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Stipp?
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzillo?
Aye.
Councilmember Loretano?
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell? Councilmember Hampton?
Aye.
Councilmember Kano?
Aye.
Mayor Lord?
Aye.
The motion carries.
All right, we're at the business. I'd like to remind council to wait for a motion and second before discussion. We're on number 10, the only item on business to consider approving the 2020 development agreement for the Phoenix 70, allowing for a delay in the completion of the off-site roadway infrastructure requirement for the Phoenix 70 site. Engineering Director Rebecca Zook presenting. Rebecca?
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I'm here this evening, as the mayor said, requesting council to approve a development agreement for Phoenix 70, allowing for the delay in the completion of the off-site roadways associated with the project. Those roadways are Indian School to the north of the site and Citrus Road, which runs along the western boundary of the site. And as I mentioned in my prior presentation, those improvements are normal requirements of any development. They are required to improve their frontage, their half street, which would be additional lanes, curb, gutter, sidewalk, and streetlights. For Phoenix 70, they have also done their water and sewer improvements. Those were with EPCOR and Litchfield Liberty Utilities, pardon me. Those are completed and were necessary for their first building. They have, in addition, been working with Maricopa Water District, or MWD, for about 8 or 9 months. That water district has existing utilities that are in the future right-of-way. Phoenix 70 has to relocate those utilities and then abandon the existing ones. And they have been working for quite some time with MWD. And at this time, they're very close to a solution, but it will take some time to wrap up their agreement and then for them to go out and make the improvements and then remove the existing utilities that are in the area. Because of this, they have requested that we allow them to move forward with both a temporary C of O as well as a C of O for their first phase or their first building. And that's what this development agreement is about. It does allow for all other life safety requirements must be complete. In addition, it allows for the creation of an escrow account for financial assurance. That's different than what we usually do. This allows for easier access for the city to those funds if something were to happen, and we would be able to pull those funds and complete the roadway improvements ourselves. From a traffic perspective, I just want to share with you that for this particular project, I have less concern about the roadway improvements being done at a slightly later date because they have very little traffic associated with their first building. Had it been significant traffic, we as a city would not have considered this. With that, I would like to also thank legal. Sarah was a huge help in the development of this DA. It took quite some time, and I'm happy to say we were able to complete it. Today, as a matter of fact, we have the signed documents. And then again, I would request approval of the Phoenix 70 DA allowing for a delay in their roadway infrastructure. And I would be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you very much. So to the city clerk, did you get any comments?
No, Mayor.
All right. Will the city clerk please read resolution number 2020-2045 by title only, please?
Adopt resolution number 2020-2045, approving the 2020 development agreement for Phoenix 70, directing the city manager to execute the 2020 development agreement for Phoenix 70, authorizing and directing actions and providing for an effective date.
Can I have a motion a second to approve resolution number 2020-2045? Do I hear that motion?
So moved. Second.
I heard a motion by Vice Mayor Stipp and a second by Councilman Pizzillo. Open for a council discussion. No discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Stipp?
Aye.
Councilmember Loretano?
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell?
Aye.
Councilmember Hampton?
Aye.
Councilmember Kano?
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzillo,
Aye.
Mayor Lord.
Aye.
The motion carries.
All right, we're at the last on information. Does the council have any comments, commendation reports, current events, requests for the future items? Councilman Stipp.
Based on our last work session that we just completed, is it possible to have, I'm going to say staff, but probably John, send out an email to the residents that have contacted us, letting them know that we've taken this position, in opposition, if that's possible?
Can we do
Good.
that, because this is a work session? No, we didn't vote. I mean, I guess they,
Well, we did take a
Well,
position,
let's
we
ask the
directed
lawyer.
staff, so.
Can we put up, is that, the public has sent us many letters, and John has written an answer. And so now we've done something a little bit different than,
I think what you could state is, based upon the council discussion at the work session, you directed staff to weigh in opposition at the project at the PNC meeting. So I think that's the direction that came out of work session.
So Mayor, I'd be glad to work with staff on the exact language, make sure it's approved by legal. But I will assure council we will get those responses out to all those residents.
I mean,
Brandon?
we also notified, I think through Nextdoor when the different meetings were going to be too. So I don't know if that's also something that we want to do or not, or however we communicated to them that the meetings were coming up so they could go to planning and zoning for county. Maybe we could follow up with the same avenues that we did that with the same way, and the individual emails as well. Do we have, I don't know if this is a policy or not, but in the future, if we're gonna, since we're opposing this type of use for that, the rest, if any other developments coming up in the future that are like this north of Indian School, do we want a setting? Do we want to do one at a time, look at each one, or do we want, if anything like this comes forward again, just we oppose it, anything north of Camelback? Because I got a feeling that area is probably going to have more like this. If this one gets turned down, might be more uses in the future. So, just a thought.
you have a comment, Joe?
I just think as they come in, we address it, I mean.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, we're a little
Stop
off,
the
We off topic?
conversation.
topic here. I'm sorry about that.
Conversation is finished, okay?
I know I'm bad. I know.
All right, yes.
I had a fortunate experience on an unfortunate incident about a week ago, where I had to call on emergency paramedics at my house, really for life-saving an event. If it wasn't for their quick action and getting my wife to the hospital, she probably wouldn't be here today. So I want to give a shout out to our fire department for their excellent service, because again, they did an excellent job. And again, thank you, fire department.
That's nice, Joe. Any other? All right, Julie?
I have no updates.
Okay, well, that's great. So with no other comment, I'm going to adjourn this meeting. Meeting's adjourned.